Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're digging into a character whose attempt at crime gets, well, seriously derailed by a classic novel.
That's right. We're looking at Atiq Rahimi's Kahrolsun Dostoyevski, damn this Dostoevsky, basically, and the setting, Kabul during conflict, and this chaotic rebuilding phase. It's absolutely key.
Okay, so our mission here is to get inside the head of Resul. He's our protagonist trying to pull off what he sees as, I guess, a necessary crime to save his family.
Exactly.
But he gets tangled up psychologically by literature. It's fascinating how a book can almost, sabotage survival.
Well, the stakes are incredibly high from the get-go. Resul's target is Alia Ana. She's a pawnbroker, also his landlord, and she has these really important papers and valuables.
Belonging to his fiance's family.
Yes, Sufi's family. So Resul thinks killing Alia Ana and getting those things back is the only way to protect his own mother, his sister Dunya, and Sufi too. It's desperate.
In the hook, the moment it all goes wrong, it's pure drama. He's got the axe ready, he's about to strike, it's like he's following a script.
Almost literally. But then bang, the memory of Raskolnikov from Crime and Punishment, the guilt, the consequences. The book says it struck him like lightning.
Like lightning. Wow.
Yeah. And it just freezes him. He hesitates. The axe falls. It does hit her. It even splits her skull. But it's not the clean, planned strike he intended. His mind just short-circuited.
So he commits the act, but the follow-through, the criminal mindset, it vanishes.
Completely. That Raskolnikov ideal, gone. He's just paralyzed right there.
Doesn't run, doesn't grab the stuff.
Nope. Fails to flee. Fails to take the money, the jewels, the box with the documents, nothing.
And the witness.
Leaves the witness. A woman shows up, starts screaming. Result just panics and bolts, leaving everything behind. His obsession with the fictional consequences totally wrecked the real crime.
Which is when he starts pointing fingers, right? Not at himself.
But the book, that's the core theme, isn't it? Kahrolsun Dostoyevski. Damn this Dostoevsky. He genuinely believes the novel is why he failed.
So he's left with, what was it? Bloody hands and empty pockets.
The worst possible outcome. And instead of grappling with the murder itself, he blames the story for preventing him from being, a successful killer. This is a bizarre kind of self-absolution.
It makes you wonder, though, in a place like Kabul, with so much real violence happening all the time, why latch on to a fictional character's guilt?
Well, I think maybe Raskolnikov's crime felt philosophical. Like it had meaning beyond just, killing someone for stuff.
Yeah.
Resul maybe wanted his crime to feel important like that.
Okay. So when it fails, blaming the book is easier than facing the kind of pointless horror of it all.
Possibly. It's a way to avoid the trauma of meaningless violence, maybe. The self-delusion certainly starts fast.
And the trauma hits him physically, too, right? The source mentions him fleeing and then collapsing.
Yeah, in a garbage heap. And he vomits this yellowish liquid. It's visceral. Like his body is just rejecting the reality of what happened.
And then the denial really kicks in.
Oh, yeah. He starts trying to convince himself it didn't even happen.
Yeah.
That it was all just him purely identifying with Raskolnikov, trying to swap the messiness of Kabul for the contained world of the book.
Which leads us to this other major symptom, the silence. He literally loses his voice.
Total shutdown.
Right.
It's like the paralysis becomes physical, manifests as silence. He can't talk about the murder, obviously, but he can't talk about anything.
That can't defend himself against his landlord, Yar Muhammad, who sounds like trouble.
Right. Can't talk to his family, his fiancé, nothing. Just this awful dry cough.
Yeah.
It cuts him off completely. No way to confess, no way to explain.
He does try to get help, though, doesn't he? Sees a doctor.
He does, an ENT specialist. He has to write down, I lost my voice.
Yeah.
And the doctor figures it out pretty quickly. This isn't physical, it's shock, emotional trauma.
And the doctor's cure is something else.
It really is. The doctor basically says the only cure is to relive the same excitement, the same situation.
Relive it? You mean find another high-stress, potentially violent situation?
Pretty much. It's an extraordinary piece of advice. It suggests that in this environment, in Kabul, normal therapy is useless. You need another shock to the system to maybe reset things.
Wow, okay. So his inner world is shattering, and the outside world isn't exactly peaceful either. Kabul itself is chaotic.
Exactly. Rockets, explosions, dust everywhere. And that chaos starts bleeding into his mind. The line between what's real and what's hallucination just dissolves.
Which brings us to that really disturbing vision he has.
The nightmare, yeah. About his landlord, Yar Muhammad, and Sufi. He sees Yar Muhammad hanging her from a tree in the courtyard.
And mutilating her, cutting off her breasts.
Yes. It's brutal. It feels like all his fears rolled into one image. The city's violence aimed at someone innocent, plus his own terror about betrayal, maybe even his own repressed violence.
And this nightmare directly leads to his arrest, doesn't it?
He does. He thinks he's still in the nightmare, trying to save Sufi, so he smashes his window.
Makes a noise.
Makes a noise, brings the armed men running Komutan Pervisi's guys. They find him, see the Russian books, probably Dostoevsky, and just haul him off. His literary obsession kind of seals his fate again.
So this forces him into a different kind of confrontation. And it seems like his moral compass starts shifting, focusing on this idea of betrayal.
Yeah, betrayal is worse than crime. He picks this up from the veterans around him, people for whom killing has become, well, normalized by war.
Like Sufai's father, Muharramullah, the one who lost his leg.
Right. Muharramullah tells Resul this story about how he dealt with a corrupt director at the National Archive. This guy was selling state secrets, important documents, to the Russians.
Betrayal of the country.
Exactly. And Muharramullah didn't just shoot him. He got his revenge by feeding the director bad whiskey, basically poisoning him slowly until his liver gave out.
And he called that jihad.
He did. He saw it as righteous. And this really sets the moral hierarchy for Resul in Kabul. Betraying trust, betraying your people, that's the ultimate sin, maybe even more than murder.
And Resul actually acts on this later, right? After Muharramullah himself dies.
Yes. He finds out one of Muharramullah's friends, another veteran who was lame, stole Muharramullah's crutch after he was killed in a bombing.
Stealing from a dead comrade.
A deep betrayal in that context. So Resul confronts him. He doesn't kill the guy, but he uses a piece of the broken crutch to force him, brutally, to write down, "I am a traitor."
So the violence is about enforcing this moral code, not about gain. He's trying to place his own crime, the murder of Alya Ana, as somehow less bad than these acts of betrayal.
It seems like it. He's desperately trying to find a framework where what he did makes some kind of sense, or is at least not the worst thing possible in this environment.
And then there's a whole mystery of what actually happened back at Alya Ana's room.
Right, because after he's sort of processed this idea about betrayal, he goes back, or at least hears about the scene, and the room is spotless.
No body, no blood, no axe.
Nothing. Clean as a whistle. The money's gone too, of course.
Which must have completely messed with his head. Was it even real?
Exactly. But it also confirms his paranoia about betrayal. He figures that woman he saw, the one in the blue veil, he suspects maybe Safi, maybe Alya Ana's daughter, Nazla Gul, must have come in after him.
Cleaned everything up professionally.
And took the valuables. So in his mind, she committed the real betrayal, stealing the profits of his crime, the crime he took the risk for. It reinforces his twisted logic. Betrayal trumps murder.
So where does he go from there? He seems to reject all the obvious paths, like getting involved politically.
Yeah, he gets interrogated by the security chief, Komutan Pervez, and incredibly, Pervez is sitting there reading Dostoevsky himself in Farsi.
No way.
Yes. And Pervez tries to recruit Resul, says, you're a child of this place, you know the streets, work for me.
But Resul's still silent.
Still silent. But he pulls off this amazing little act of defiance. He takes a pencil, and on Pervez's map of Kabul, he just writes the name of Pervez's main rival, Komutan Rustam.
Ah, playing them against each other without saying a word.
Exactly. Pure intellectual manipulation to destabilize things and get himself out of there. He rejects that path.
And he rejects the family path, too, in a way. He finds out his father died.
Yeah. And this Komutan Rustam, the rival he just name-dropped, who also wants to marry his sister Dinya, leaves a bunch of money for the family.
And Resul initially refuses it, calls it dirty money.
Vehemently.
Yeah.
He won't touch it, wants nothing to do with this commander or his money. It seems like a moral stand.
But then,
reality bites, I guess. He seems to realize, well, if all Anna's money is gone, and this money is dirty, maybe all money here is dirty. He pivots pretty fast.
What does he do?
He takes Rustam's money, the money he just rejected, and heads straight for the tech, the local hashish den.
Okay.
And he spends it all buying kebabs and hashish for everyone there. It's like he just gives up on the moral distinctions. If he can't have the clean profit from his crime, he'll live off the dirty money just fine. He chooses oblivion over morality.
So he ends up embracing this kind of nihilism back in the tech.
Yeah, and that's when we get the final key scenes. He watches this young man, Salal, die. Salal was supposedly born under the influence of opium, sort of detached from reality his whole life.
And his death is peaceful.
Completely tranquil. It's described as a willed letting go. A death with no crime, no punishment. And Resul sees this.
Which must contrast sharply with the violent death he caused.
Immensely. or the violent death that probably awaits him if he stays active in Kabul. Salal's death looks like an escape, a kind of peace.
And then he gets a gun.
From Sufi's brother, Davut, a Colt pistol. The final scene has him just holding it, placing it on his chest, contemplating Salal's quiet death, maybe his own options. And he thinks about this phrase, Neyatalam, what shall we do?
But it's not really a question for him anymore.
No, he thinks of it not as a question needing an answer or action, but just a statement of being, a passive state, something he says he only ever saw before in the eyes of an animal, just existing in the chaos.
So in the end, he doesn't follow Raskolnikov towards confession and redemption.
Not at all. And he doesn't really succeed in navigating Kabul's dangers either. He descends into this state the book calls azad, which means sort of free, unburdened, but it's a freedom found in silence, in total disengagement.
His literary guide, Dostoevsky, ultimately failed him as a practical manual for this world.
Utterly. The complex moral philosophy just couldn't cope with a reality where, frankly, betrayal and covering your tracks seem more important than the act of killing itself.
It's such a powerful idea, this 19th century novel, reaching across time and space to paralyze someone in modern, war-torn Kabul. He's trapped by theory, unable to act effectively in a world governed by brutal pragmatism.
Yeah, which really leaves you, the listener, with something to think about. In a world defined by such relentless, overwhelming violence like Kabul, is Resul's final silence. His withdrawal from communication, action, responsibility. Is that the only kind of freedom left? The only way to achieve peace internally, even if it looks like defeat from the outside?